Hey guys, this is Ed from Mission Impossible, and with me I have Wyatt, and today we're going to be doing a tier list of the 2,600 games from US Games / Vidtec. So let's start this off. We got Commando Raid.
Okay. What was it first, Vidtec or US Games?
It was Vidtec at the beginning, I think, and then they changed their name to US Games.
Then, okay. Anyway, the first one on our docket, Commando Raid. Pretty standard shooty left, right. I liked how the guys dug into the ground.
That was kind of an interesting one.
Kind of interesting how the helicopters would avoid each other. Some cool little graphical things. It was okay, though. I think it's B-worthy, just because it doesn't stand out amongst games where you're moving a turret left and right to shoot things. It stands out graphically a little bit, though. So I'm going to give it a B.
The interesting thing for me, and as we found as we're playing it, is that it seems like maybe you're wanting to shoot the aircraft.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the guys dropping, yes, they will hurt you eventually because they'll be able to tunnel down. But I thought it was an interesting double win condition sort of for them, because they destroy the buildings, but they can also tunnel and then plant a bomb. And they also can drop a missile. Now, if the missile hits you, you're out.
It's game over.
Yeah, and so that's the main thing. I guess for me, I mean, otherwise the game was kind of uninspired as far as,
it did have a lot going on. Much like a game that they made later on. We'll get to it, but it was basically the same game.
Yeah. My thought is probably a low B, but still a B. It's decent.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
What's that?
Eggomania.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the
Yolk.
waffles.
No.
Yeah, nothing to do with the waffles.
You're drowning in yolk as a bird throws eggs at you, and then you shoot those eggs back at him if you collect them all.
Get all the whole thing.
It was okay. It was...
Right.
I don't know.
It's hard.
I'm not sure where to rank this one, because it's like... I guess I'll put it in a B because it was pretty well done. It's pretty low on the B for me. I kind of want to put it at C, but I don't feel like it's worse than Commando Raid. It's just Commando Raid had a lot going for it as far as graphics. They were kind of interesting. Some interesting win condition stuff. Oh, I'll put it a low B. Whatever.
Fair enough.
It just, I don't know. It's not a game I would play again. I guess. And I didn't...
Well, paddle games are always kind of weird, and I think part of the problem is with playing on a controller.
Playing on a gamepad is different.
Is hard. But that being said, the graphics on the game were really good. The whole idea of you drowning in yolk was kind of a funny little thing.
Strange, but funny.
I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to put Eggomania at a B. I'm going to move Commando Raid down, because I think I'm just kind of adjust these.
Sure, I think that's fair, and maybe you're right.
You don't have to change yours.
I'm not going to change it to a C, but I am going to lower it because Commando Raid wasn't as interesting to look at as Eggomania. So, Entombed. Man, I just don't want to give everything a B or a C, but that's kind of where I'm leaning so far, because it's like, and again, here's another one where Entombed, was it better or worse than these ones? But also, does it deserve a B? And if it's better than any of these and deserves a C, then I gotta move some things around.
That's fine.
So it's just, this one more than any other is making me think of those things, because I'm just remembering the experience that I had with it is interesting. Because Entombed, it had some interesting stuff where you could, as you collect resources, you could remove sections of wall and continue to go through the maze, even if you were like in danger of losing the maze. Just touching the top of the screen would kill you instead of push you until you got squished, which I didn't like very much.
I mean, I think if it squished you into a wall, you should die, but it should kind of just push you along in the area that you're at. But
I think so.
That was a design choice.
It also just ends randomly.
Yeah, there should be like a finish line kind of.
And I didn't really care for that. So, but I did like it more than Commando Raid. I was kind of getting into the zone with it a little bit. So, yeah, I'm going to pop Commando Raid down. and put Entombed in the B. Because Commando Raid, I'm going to keep knocking it down because I don't think there's any games here that I would play less, or at least not many.
Right. I'm going to do something similar, but I'm going to put Entombed as higher than Eggomania. Just because while Eggomania had the ability to shoot back occasionally, it was weird when you beat it. I shot him several times, didn't do anything. But I did hit him one time, and I didn't even realize I could.
Yeah.
Entombed was definitely interesting because, it was a maze game on rails. You had to, do things, and sometimes you get screwed. You don't have the item you need to be able to.
You really could,
and so it lived up to its name of getting entombed.
I guess so, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the idea. I didn't realize that you could break open the wall. That was kind of
we just kind of figured that out.
And it was like, oh, well, that completely changes the game because I was thinking it was. You make sure you pick the right area, otherwise you're screwed. So at least there was a way to get out, providing you had the resources. So I think that they could have made that better by one, the pushing of when you get to the top, two, showing where you need to get to, or if they did a timer kind of thing or something. Yeah. Who knows? The win condition was not obvious, and that was kind of it's like, oh, I guess we're done with the level.
Yeah, that is kind of the big thing for me too. Is just it was like, oh, over, okay, whatever,
over. All right, but I thought it was actually a pretty solid game.
It had its moments, and I've got to give it props for that.
Sure.
Gopher. What do you say about Gopher?
Well, I had a
Gopher pops up, and you have a shovel.
He's trying to eat your carrots.
You're burying his tunnels and smacking him with a shovel.
Yep.
He had a cool graphic with the popping out.
He was
with
laughing
the tongue.
at you kind of thing.
It was interesting.
Taunting you.
I don't know. It's so okay. I'm gonna put it at
it's so okay.
I'm gonna put it at a high C.
Okay.
I don't think it really did a lot. You could definitely get into the zone with it a little bit, but I don't know. The bird would come through and do seemingly nothing.
He tried to poop on you.
Yeah, but it didn't seem to do anything.
Yeah, it was a little odd. It's like let's take our game loop and then just add more stuff to it just to make it just harder, I guess.
Randomly, yeah.
Yeah, it seemed a little odd as a thing.
It didn't add much of anything, and the graphics, I will say this. Overall, I think a lot of the graphics that they did in these US games, pretty cool. They have some of the more interesting sprite work.
I would agree.
Their use of color, I don't think, is as good as things like a Magic, but there's actual characters and sprites were pretty interesting and cool for the time.
Yep.
So that being said, I can't rank all of these way higher just because of that. Because on average, they all looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. So Gopher's not one that I think has a loop that I'm coming back to.
Yeah, it was a little... Of course, the Gopher is annoying, and he's supposed to be, but it was sort of like it seemed like it maybe the bird it needed more, but not just the bird. The bird was a little bit of a weird something
else.
Yeah,
and it didn't ever really seem to get it.
I mean, it was kind of cool. For me, I'm gonna put it in mid B for me. More than Eggomania, but less than Entombed. It was interesting.
Sure. The next one's M.A.D. M.A.D. Never did learn what it stood for. I'm gonna put that low C. I thought it was worse than Commando. It was the same game, but it was a lot harder to tell where you were firing out of because the graphic of the cannon. You'd be shooting out of the top flat surface, the actual face of the shape, and then if you moved it to the right, it would shoot out of the diagonal of it, but that flat top would still be there in a way that made it feel like I should be shooting out of that.
Right.
It was just hard to grasp a little bit because of that. There wasn't as much interesting stuff like in Commando Raid. Yeah. So it was a worse version of that game.
I can't disagree. I mean, it was okay. but not much else to say.
Yeah, that's kind of the sad thing is there's just not a lot to talk about with that one. Name the game.
Name this game.
Name this game, win $10,000.
Yes.
Long title.
Yes.
You know, I did like it. I liked the different take on shoot up at things.
Yes.
The fewer enemies made it so that the two that you were dealing with were distinct and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The octopus tentacles and the shark. Mm-hmm. The shark constantly getting faster, level over level. Mm-hmm. You could see the timer going down at the bottom as well as your air. You had a guy up top who was helping you instead of something else you had to shoot. It did a lot of interesting things, mm-hmm. actually. I don't know, I actually just had a lot of fun with it. And
it seemed like you were playing for quite a while.
I'm actually going to give that one an A. That one actually captured my enjoyment quite a bit.
It's, for me, it was...
It took a simple, very simple loop, and it just really, it was tight, though.
Yeah, it definitely did that. I would agree. And for me, it's an A as well. I can't give it an S because it just doesn't have anything more. That's the only thing if they had done like a bonus level or done anything else.
If there was a little bit more. But for what is there?
Yes, I agree.
It was their most tightly made game, I think.
Probably.
I not to spoil that. Continue to watch the rest of the video because maybe I'll think of something else.
Yeah.
But at least so far, this is, I think, one of their tightest games.
Right. It's one I had as a kid, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So it's one of those games that I could sit here and play it all day long. That's why I didn't even play it on the stream because I'm like, I'll just take too long.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you get into the zone.
Oh, yeah. It's like the Gyrus or whatever.
Yes,
I played that one for forever when we played that, and this is another one that I think is easy to get to that mode.
Very Space Invaders like that.
Yeah, of course, because it's a shooty up kind of deal. Yeah. But it had its own identity and its own style. Right. And I think, and again, graphic-wise, very interesting. Mm-hmm. On the other end of that barrel, we got Cream of the Crop up here and Picnic.
Cream of the crap down there.
Yeah.
There you go.
I wouldn't even give it that distinction. It just didn't do anything. I didn't like it. I truly thought it was too easy to lose because it's not like they would
they'd like scarf the entire sandwich.
They would suck up an entire line, which is like, well, then why make them individual pieces?
Yeah.
Just make it so that there are 4 and you have to guard 4 lines of the sandwich, and every time they hit one, they'll stop.
One. Yeah.
And maybe go up for a second. They were just
scarf it.
Whole sandwich gone.
It's just like, wow. Yeah, that was a bit rough.
It was not good. Like, again, Cream of the Crop up here. Yeah. Really interesting and unique. And this one tried something, and it's not a game I'm going to play again. Yeah. I thought the graphics were all right, but it didn't really make it incentivized you, much like a later game, to not move.
Right.
They're going to eat a lot of your sandwich, and then stay at the last little bit and just stand there as they randomly worm about. Yeah. Because it's not even like... I think part of my problem with it is also just the flies don't go for the sandwich.
Right.
They just always shoot down randomly, and if they're on the sandwich, they're going to take half of it.
Right.
One fly will do that, and so it's like...
That's a bit unfair. I'm going to still put it in the C range just because I think that there's...
So you don't think it's the cream of the crap?
No, I think there's worse. So
there's worse and there's better.
Yeah. So
lots better.
I thought
not much worse.
The concept of it was decent. I feel like they should have had some sort of end of level thing, like being able to pull out more sandwiches, being able to say, okay, you survived by hovering over that last bit of sandwich, with dear life.
There was also no regeneration of sandwich.
That's kind of what I meant. Oh yeah. I mean, it'd be kind of funny if your sandwiches grew a little bit, but another sandwich would make sense.
Like replacing the sandwiches every level or something, exactly. Or even every couple of levels. Yeah. But no, it was just once you lose sandwich, you're screwed.
I think it would have been better, personally, if you wanted to do a game like that to have a fly swatter. That'd be smack, smack,
It's
smack.
kind of what, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I think if you look on the cover, this particular cover we have here has it blocked off, but I'm pretty sure there is a fly swatter on the thing, but it's not what you're doing. You're clearly not swatting these flies.
Yeah.
You're like reflecting their beams back at them.
Yeah, it was a little odd. A little demon attacky.
Yeah,
little beams coming down.
And it's like, take that, you beast.
Yes.
Lame.
Yeah.
Lame. Piece of cake. We'll get a bonus for having the official, stamp it right here on the screen, just whoop-pow, best graphic on the 2600.
Best sprite, yeah.
Best sprite on the 2600. However, otherwise, I'm going to give it a low-ish B.
Okay.
Mid to low B. Because the game itself was all right.
Okay.
But I felt like instead of rewarding you for getting the most stacks or doing something difficult like having landing the smallest stacks and then, getting big or like making interesting shapes, it was like, no, you gotta go big, small. And then put a cherry on top.
Yeah, have a cherry.
And if you don't do that...
I think it's funny is the definition of a cake in that game is having a cherry. You can actually make a cake with no layers and just a cherry.
And it'll score you points. And it's so it as a game, the loop falls apart a little bit.
A little bit.
Because it's like, that's lame. You can't do much.
That's not a cake.
This.
That's a cherry.
This is a cherry, not a cake. And the fact that it will accept that, but not one where the bottom layer is small and then it gets big...
Well, one of the things I would say is there's no physics involved, so it's not like the cake is like worrying about it toppling. And I would say also the collision detection for it was very loose. It would as long as you were in the general area of where you landed, it would land.
But instead of just like, or even having it where you can make it small, big, and then small again, so that, it's like kind of an interesting shape. The fact that it doesn't let you do those things, but lets you put a cherry on a plate and call that a cake, feels a little lame.
I don't know. I think they were trying to go for like the Tower of Hanoi problem, whereas you have to have a bigger to smaller thing. It's a well-known thing. So.
Yeah, but it's not a very interesting thing for a cake-making game.
Yeah, but how many cakes have you seen that are inverted?
I think that would be much more interesting, and it's a video game.
Yeah, but in real life, a cake that did that, I think it would be crushed from its own weight. Go!
Well,
and it would be like all bowing. I think
I've seen those cake making competitions where they do interesting things with the shape of cake.
Yeah,
and I think those are much more interesting than just make a standard cake. Except there has to be a cherry on top, which is not a thing that you do on cakes.
Unless it's what is that one? There's a special kind of cake. The cake is a lie cake. I don't know what that's called.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But those were also strawberries.
Yeah, exactly.
And it rimmed the cake. You didn't just slap one in the middle and call it, that's the way you finish a cake.
For me, the graphic for me really adds a lot. I'm gonna go for a high B on this.
Totally, yeah.
The baker graphic, I kept calling him a chef because he had the chef's hat, but the baker graphic,
that guy,
they totally looked like they were going for a Swedish chef. They absolutely, and they nailed it like crazy.
Oh yeah, he looked great.
Yeah,
he really did.
He did an awesome job with the mustache and the eyebrows and a lot of character.
I guess the big difference here is the graphic kind of saved it for me, where the graphic really made it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah, I can put up with the fact that they're expecting traditional, big layer, small layer, and you can do two small layers at the same level, but you just can't go inverted.
Yeah.
But you had to put the cherry on the top, which was a little challenging sometimes because they start going fast. Now, something we didn't realize at the beginning was that the cakes were getting rejected.
Yeah, and that's why
they had the conveyor belt thing.
If you got the cherry on top and it was the right shape, then it was through.
Yeah, exactly. So it was an interesting concept. So, but I thought it was pretty decent actually.
Fair enough, and I'm glad that you did. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you for taking.
I'm glad that was of your taste.
Thank you for taking my feelings into account.
You're welcome. I think the next one is the rafting one. Raft Rider.
Raft Rider.
I'm gonna give Raft Rider a low C.
Okay.
Because once you got the hang of it, you could definitely get a little into it. However, I just didn't think that the concept was well done. I don't like the concept, maybe even. I don't mind the idea of like riding the river and avoiding obstacles, but the fact that it's like, all right, push down, and you'll kind of slowly meander down, and then it's like, all right.
They were trying to go for realistic physics kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's like, and now don't move.
Yeah.
For as long as is physically possible.
Right.
And there was a dog or something at the bottom that you didn't seem to really be able to interact with, because if you go all the way to the bottom, you hit the shore, and then he's like,
and you die.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
And it's like,
yeah, that was a little odd.
I don't know, man.
There was a flashing
rock that would kill you still, meaning there was no reason for it to be flashing.
Exactly. It's just like flashy things usually make it sound like, oh, you need to go collect this.
It's a power-up. It'll let you just glide through for a second or something. But no.
And there was no ending that we saw. It was just,
you just go going forever. And it's like, I don't know, you could just walk.
Yeah, there's embankment. I mean, you'd avoid all of those rocks.
You're not going so much faster because that dog outran you.
Like, yeah, that could have been
that weird
really, really
chinchilla or whatever.
I thought Raft Rider was okay.
It was okay, but it can't really go much higher than some of these other things.
Yeah, it was. I will say that after getting used to the controls, it was better. At the beginning, it was really clunky. The controls were like,
they are definitely bad controls still.
Yeah. Well, bad
in that they're unintuitive.
Correct.
And thusly, as you're playing it, you're either going to give up or you're going to power through to the game and get it. But once you get it, it's not so much fun that it's like, wow, it was so worth learning these weird controls.
If they would have done left and right as being speed up and slow down, that would have been interesting. Because it's like, whoa, 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 like that, or like push, push, push to get you going faster or something.
If there was another layer to it, maybe the weirdness of the controls could have worked to the benefit.
Right.
But because you're basically just going up and down on a very, just like this, you don't even really go left or right that much when you go up or down. It just didn't nail.
I think they could have made it better.
Yes.
And if they would have done a couple of things, maybe not have so many obstacles, maybe have it so that you would have areas that were rushing like faster and then slower, like kind of like rapids kind of thing, and then like, oh, okay, this is a calm, lazy river kind of thing.
Yeah, just different sections and different kinds of things.
The concept of it, you were saying you didn't know if you liked the concept. I think the concept is cool. I think the implementation of what
the execution, I would, when I get down to it, it's not as though dodging things on a river is an inherently bad concept for a video game. I just don't think they really pulled it into anything. So that the concept that they were doing of, pull up and down is the thing I don't like.
Did you ever play Tubin?
No, I don't think I did.
It was an arcade game, but basically you're on an inner tube and you have control of four, like your limbs. You have your hands and your feet, and so you can do this as you move around. And then there's two player, and so you're like going down, but it's vertical and you're going down. And so it had a similar kind of aspect. You're avoiding things, but the fact that you can kind of spin around in circles if you do one at a time, and go really fast by doing two. It's kind of a neat thing.
That is clever.
Yeah,
I like
it seemed like they were kind of trying to go for that, but just didn't.
They just didn't pan it out enough, I think. The next one is Sneak and Peek.
Yes.
I don't like Sneak and Peek.
No, Sneak and Peek was horrible.
Sneak and Peek is a bad game, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think the concept of it could have been neat. Even if it's like, okay, the other player has to cover their eyes or look away. I have played games like that where you're like, okay, now look away. Now you can like have a sound effect or whatever.
Sure.
Now you can look,
It's just...
But the idea of it was like, if they would have had it to where you had like you go to a certain area and it was obvious that you hid, then okay, but like I couldn't hide anywhere. It's like there's like 20 different hiding places.
Yeah, and in the first mode that we were playing, it counted up. It was like, and however long it took you to hide was however long the other person has to
That's
see.
not how hide and seek works.
Not how hide and seek works.
Yeah.
The other modes had like, you have 50 seconds to do it, and it's like, okay, that's a little better. However, with that one, never hide in the main room.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it took him 3 seconds, he's behind the couch.
Right.
There's one spot to hide in.
Yeah, I guess you could have just circle around or whatever and just kind of sit there and be like, plop.
But it's also something where you almost have to get earmuffs also, because the music has a cycle and then stops in every room that you enter.
Oh no, really? I didn't even notice that.
I noticed it as I was looking away.
Little audio clues.
Yeah, the first room, it was a doot, and it started over when you went to the next room, and then it stopped, and I was like, oh, he's in the second room because the music hasn't restarted again.
That's funny. It's like they're unintentionally giving you
a hint, and it's like, so I'd have to cover my ears or like mute the TV or...
Yeah, speaking of sound effects, the music in A Piece of Cake was horrible.
Oh my God, I didn't mention it, but that's another reason it's at my low B. Is like,
you could just mute during that game.
Yeah,
it's like, no audio.
Oh, it was giving me a headache.
It was not great.
It's like a ticking bomb almost, just like...
Yeah. I got to go with the D for Sneak and Peek.
Yeah, it was just Sneak and Peek.
It didn't feel like a game. I mean, when you see the opening graphic with the house and everything, it's like, oh, this is gonna be cool.
Yeah,
is this gonna be like a haunted house or something? That's the way they were
searching something.
It's a spooky house. I'm looking at the menu. I'm like, wait a minute.
What's this?
No, this is not spooky. It's very
once you get into
Yeah, I mean, if it was like a haunted house, like on the 2600.
Yeah.
That'd be neat, whatever, you can hide in there or something, but
it just doesn't
full bright rooms and stuff. And the couch.
Also, just not very interesting hiding spots. It's like every room has so many hiding spots. Does it? It has that.
Does it really? Yeah,
it has the edge, the top, and the left.
Yeah, and it was like,
it's not that.
You needed more furniture and stuff for you to hide behind or something.
And I love how in the manual they were like, oh, we're so amazing. There are 20 hiding spots.
Yeah.
That's not that many.
Yeah, exactly.
In this room, there are way more than 20 hiding spots. In any room, there are more than 20 hiding spots.
Exactly.
It's just not very fun. Space Jockey is coming up. It redeems, we're bringing it back up a little bit. Space Jockey was pretty all right. I like the graphics of everything.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward and simple, though. There's not a lot that sets it up and apart from a lot of other things.
Horizontal shooter. The sprites and the colors were great.
Real good. Real interesting, but I don't think I can put it...
Yeah,
very higher than like a mid to low B, because it's like it was good at what it was doing, but what it was doing was not something that I think shook the video game industry to its very core.
Now, which obviously was their first game, I believe. So.
And it doesn't need to do that, of course. It doesn't need to be the redefining of a genre. If you do it well, you do it well. But it didn't do it then so well. It wasn't like a perfection of the formula.
No.
It was just like, this is a good enough version of this formula.
Pretty much.
So I can't like knock it too far down. I'd play it again, but not over a lot of other things.
Sure. For me, I'm gonna put it at a high C. The graphics were good, and normally, a lot of these, the graphics do redeem it a little bit, and they look decent, but it was really uninspired. I felt like shooting stuff and shooting random things like trees and houses and stuff. It's like, all right,
those aren't even.
I guess you're just an alien that you're just gonna destroy everything.
Just an asshole.
Yeah, I guess.
Not a huge fan. Like you said, it's not very inspired.
Yeah.
I think this next one, Squeezebox, was kind of inspired, actually. I really liked the sprite work again. That was another one where the sprite work was really good. I like the prison guy.
His face was odd, though.
His face was odd, but it was like, oh, he's a weirdo. It didn't feel out of place, I guess, for what they were trying to go for seemingly a prisoner.
Right.
I'm gonna give this one an A.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was super duper simple, but it got you feeling tense when those bars were getting close to you.
They start turning up the heat, and you're like, oh crap,
and you're like starting to prioritize. Like, all right, if I let this bar go, then I have to really make sure none of these other bars get too close. So you're like, trying to section
once they meet,
out.
Did it seem like you could maybe break it out?
You could, and you could destroy it back to one side or the other, but it was definitely a risk because everything else is still moving.
Right.
And it, sometimes only a couple bars would be growing. They had some nice variation in how the bars were coming at you.
Right.
That I actually had a great deal of fun playing it because it's also not really a game I've played on the 2600 before.
I don't know if I've played a game like that. I mean, that's just kind
that's
of
what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting.
New.
Is it a genre? I don't
It's a
know.
unique sub-game in the kind of you're breaking bricks, kind of.
I would almost say
but it's
kind of like Breakout that's coming towards you.
It's a very interesting variation on
the fact that it's coming at you from both directions, both sides.
It's kind of interesting.
It's squeezing you.
It's the squeeze box.
You happen to be in a box that squeezes you.
It does quite a bit to make you feel tense, and I think that is laudable as a game. I felt like oh man, I'm getting crushed here.
For me, I gotta say it's a B title, just because while it looked pretty good, I didn't have a lot of fun playing it.
Sure.
I'm gonna probably go for maybe mid B with it. Granted the graphics, and we were talking about the different stylistic choices and stuff, which was kind of interesting. It's just, again, the game loop is, it's pretty simple, but I mean, yes, it gets really tense. I just, I don't know. It was okay. It was better than just okay, I guess. It was good, fairly decent,
but
just
not
an A for me.
No, that's fine.
That was decent.
I think our next game, Towering Inferno, is let down somewhat by certain things. I think the graphics are really interesting. I like the way the fire looks. The W's. I thought, there's at least seemingly an end goal of clearing the building, and then maybe you go to another building, or maybe it's the end. I'm not really sure. We didn't, play to finish because we had other games to play. But I think it is let down somewhat by you can't shoot right or left, and you're more often than not interacting with these fires left and right.
Correct.
Also, the fire moves so erratically that it is really hard to time anything without just wasting all of your time getting out all the fires, and thusly letting 3 or 4 people die in an elevator or whatever they're doing. And I think another thing is, once you get up there and get the white cube, which is assumably getting the people to come with you, they still continue to die. It's if the timer was only going when you're going up and it doesn't when you get them, then when you die and it resets
that's
them.
interesting. Yeah, I didn't notice that, but yeah, you're probably right there.
Then you die and it resets them, and it's half of them were dying on the way down. Yeah. If it stopped it, then when you die and it resets, that would feel like a reasonable, difficult punishment that's oh, dang, I shouldn't have done that. Whereas, because they still die even when you're holding them, it's I've got to do this again, and it's not even worth it now.
Right. It's screw it, let's go to the next floor.
Yeah.
It's you guys are done. We're done here.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the no left and right on the firing of the water was a bummer.
I think it is a solid concept that its execution lets it down.
Yeah, I had a decent time with it, but I think the biggest problem I have was the randomness of the fire. It was just you're trying to time it. It was random. You couldn't really time it.
Seemingly actually random.
Yeah, and that was a bummer. I will say I did have a decent amount of fun with it. So I am gonna probably put it in the B. Let's see. I'm gonna put it in probably there. I thought it was, yes, there were some problems with it, but the idea of going from floor to floor, it did have multiple screens, which we talked about. In my opinion, is a good thing.
I agree.
You know, you have the multiple, even though it's just showing you what you're doing, it's like you're getting the guys out, they're going out, and you're great, you saved these guys, yay. And then, but you look at the floor and it's no longer fire. You go, you know, and you go through it and it's just...
those things are definitely cool.
Yeah.
I just don't think that the actual gameplay loop itself then holds up to what that sets up.
Fair. Another one I think is odd is you should have some incentive to put out all the flames.
Right, like it is directly incentivizing you not to put out the fire.
Yeah, just to get the guys. Now, you know, in some cases that may be the correct thing. I mean, your loss of life is the important one, so you're going for them. But at that point, you should be trying to put out the fire too.
It is interesting because you can like put out no fire, get the guy, get out, and then the floor is not on fire anymore.
Yeah, that is a little
once
odd.
You leave. So it's like, you know, maybe there are ways that could maybe roll into things, but it kind of lets itself down a little bit.
Yeah.
Word Zapper, last game from US Games Vidtec, and it was a spelling game in which there seemed to be no discernible consequences to running into anything or doing or shooting. The only thing that you could do that would make you fail is shooting the end character.
Yeah, I noticed that, and then it's like it doesn't respawn. Like all the other letters respawn.
Like if that one will stay, if you don't shoot it, but if you shoot it early,
you're done.
You fail.
And you fail.
And it's like,
yeah,
okay,
that was
so
odd.
the single consequences from doing that. Everything else will bump you slightly, but you can shoot every letter in the alphabet.
Right.
And it won't add or mess up your word.
It doesn't matter to mess up the word, it counts on the score. So
sure. Yeah. It's like, but where even is, I didn't even look at the score.
Yeah, and it gives you a rank at the end. That was rookie or Zapper or whatever. There's different ranks.
It wasn't very hard to get Zapper.
Yeah.
It was just very okay. I kind of, I'll put it below Towering Inferno because I think Towering Inferno was doing a little bit more. Some of the sound effects were kind of fun. I think it is one of the better spelling games on the 2600, of which there are weirdly a couple.
It seemed to me like it was trying to be a spelling game, but it says the word, so it shows you how to spell it.
Yeah, it's not like you're guessing or anything.
Yeah.
The challenge is just hitting it, but that's not hard. The only times things are difficult, like each, you know, it's like, oh, the difficulty of a 3-letter word versus a 4-letter word versus a 5-letter word, and those are the difficulties. Except, unless the thing that was difficult is, oh, there's a double letter in this one, meaning you have to wait a full another rotation, which is not something you can control and not something that, you know.
What if they made it kind of like Wordle or made it like a Hangman type of game? And then it would be something I could see it being maybe a little bit more interesting there. I feel like it was almost like someone was given the task to make an educational game.
Maybe, yeah.
And it was kind of like, all right, we'll spell out letters, and it's kind of like, well, you said what the letters were, and there's a question mark.
Yeah, why the question? I guess if you forgot what the word was. You wouldn't know how many letters.
And it was not very obvious when like the first word was like poof or something. And it had like 8 letters. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And I had already shot the end character.
So you couldn't actually finish.
It should have been something where it's like, no, just end it. When you get the word, you get the word. Don't like make you finish like get the end character, the delimiter. Yeah. It was odd. That being said, the concept of it, of shooting the letters and stuff, was kind of neat.
To be honest, if they want to show you the word and then put obstacles between you and those letters.
Sure.
As opposed to just having the alphabet constantly scroll by so that you go P, O, wait
like
for
if
it
you
to
like
cycle.
fly around and get the letters or something.
Wait for it to cycle because F is before O. F, wait for it to cycle because the end character is at the end of the alphabet. It just it just kind of fell apart as a concept.
Yeah. So I'm gonna probably I gotta give it probably a C somewhere in here. Do I like it better than Raft Rider? No. But I don't know if it's a D though. I
just
kinda,
the lowest of C's.
Yeah, it's got to go below Raft Rider for me.
I guess I'm leaving it up here mostly because I don't know. It still had a personality to it though, with the way that, again, with the like little jingle that it plays once you finish everything. I don't know. I can't put it. Gopher, I would rather play again, I think. But like these games, I think Word Zapper is fine enough. So
fine enough. That's what we're ending on. It's fine enough, ladies and gentlemen.
It's fine enough. Well, it's not my fault that we can't put the ones that are A's at the back of the list.
Yeah,
we do this alphabetically, so
that's true.
But all in all, US Games was better than I was expecting.
Okay.
I was kind of expecting this top half to be a little shallower.
Okay.
Just because
so we found some okay games in there.
We did. We found some games that are like, I would go back and play those A games again.
Right.
I would consider playing the B games again. And even though I'm not very likely to play the C games again, if it comes up, I won't say no.
Right.
I'm just never going to play Picnic or Sneak and Peek ever again.
Sneak and Peek, just no.
Sneak and Peek sucks.
Yeah,
It's the hide and seek is also like something that can be fun, but is like on the 26th, you'd think hide and seek.
Yeah, I think it was a failed concept from the get-go.
And
I think they spent all their time making that the house graphic.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, look at this cool house.
The beds looked awful. The couch was bad.
The couch actually looked cool. With the two colors, they actually made it look like
Fair enough.
bed was bad, but the house looked great. And it's like, you think you're setting up for this, ooh, we're going to go in this spooky house and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, then it goes like way downhill super fast.
Hide and seek games have proven that they are a viable thing with like prop hunt kind of games and like.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing.
And there are actual hide and seek style games,
right?
But this one just is very much the least of them.
And the graphics, the sprites for the people are a little bit questionable.
They were weird, and the arms were janky.
The arms, yes, we're going to go with arms.
They were arms. What they were going for.
Yes,
but it didn't work very good. So
anyway,
if you're looking at playing some US games, play these ones at the top. Give them a shot, but I think otherwise. The company as a whole, Quaker's done better things.
Yeah, especially oatmeal. Now I want to go eat some oatmeal.
They're strawberry and I think it was strawberry and peach flavored. They just came out with a new one.
Oh, weird. No, the peaches and cream has always been my favorite.
Peaches and cream's pretty good.
Ones, yeah. So.
I'm a big fan of the banana cream.
There you go. You just got to add enough water to them. Otherwise, it's like you get finding funny kind of a tangent, but the whole Quaker's thing, finding the right amount of water. It's like either it's sludge or it's soup. And it's like, all right, I'd have find that.
I think I prefer soup over sludge for the oatmeal, but you know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
I like that. I like it when it's that perfect consistency.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Kind of hard to hit.
Exactly. Anyway, folks, appreciate you being here. Leave us a comment in the down below with what your tier list is. Did you like this company or not? Or,
and let us know what company to do next, because we still have a few third parties to go.
Yep, we do.
But we're counting them down. We're making it through, and so thanks for joining us on this journey of going through these third parties, guys.
All right. That being said, see you in the next adventure. Take care. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of this kind of content, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. I post new videos all the time and I wouldn't want you to miss any. If you'd like to see more of this series, be sure to click up here. And if you'd like to see something else, be sure to click up here.